Data types in my Digimon. It's more common than you think. Greetings, everyone. This is the Hipster Snek, joined today, of course, by Master Ditaku.
I am only in Ditaku Mon Cyber Sushi. That was only on the Wonder Swan.
Of course. Because everyone knows that the Wonder Swan games definitely made perfect sense and lined up perfectly with the animus, and didn't cause any continuity issues whatsoever.
I mean, they kind of did. It's just unfortunately, the small American children did not have access to the Wonder Swan trilogy, and so they wouldn't know about the wonders of the self-insert Ske, and his Stockholm syndrome Digimon partner, which twists time trying to get to him.
Yep. Because Digimon is serious business. Because it is definitely sound to give 10 to 15-year-olds living, walking nuclear arsenals.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to me. I want to say, I forget which Digimon it was. I want to say it was like Black, the ultimate version of Agumon.
Metal Greymon.
Yeah, like the Black Metal Greymon who has like Atomic Blaster as his special move.
Yeah, where he literally fires ICBMs out of his chest.
And then there's Edamon, who just sings badly, but he's like on a par in terms of power level with nuclear weapons. And so it's like, yeah, you can just have a Digimon who's like, I am literally made out of poop, and I can, go toe-to-toe with nuclear missiles. It's like, yeah, that's just Digimon for you.
That really is a good summary of the situation. Like, let's start with that. Let's start with our quick introduction to Digimon for those who don't already know. Which, if you're on my channel, I kind of question how, but you know what? Let's do it anyway. There is the human world, and there is a digital world made up of the data of all the various systems and connections. And I don't care what you say, Digimon Survive isn't canon, so I don't. Okay, let me get this out now because there's going to be a war in the comments for me saying this. The idea that the digital world predates the existence of digital technology is stupid. Digimon Survive's story was made dumber by trying to associate them as animal gods. You cannot tell me that the ancient peoples encountered Sukamon or Nanimon. That just wouldn't have happened. The reason why Digimon have flamethrowers and bazookas and missile launchers and the ability to hold a star in their hands is because that data exists on a digital network created by humans. Digital monsters. The idea that the digital world predates humanity makes no sense.
I argue that you could do that, but it basically, the beautiful thing about Digimon is the fact that effectively after 02, every series is its own continuity.
Right.
And so for instance, you're going to tell me that the Digi-Elves didn't exist prior to the Digimon project and Tamers?
There is debate for that. Okay, you know what? I'll grant that. There is a debate to be had there because those guys are pretty weird.
Yeah, they basically are God, and they can do whatever they want to do.
Yep. And there's a lot of debate in the continuity, because in '01 it is specifically said that the digital world is made up of the human network, but in Cross Wars they say exactly the opposite, that only a small fraction of the digital world exists due to human networks. Now when Taiki asks like, oh, what's the rest of it, they just kind of ignore him and just brush it off. So like not addressing it also opens up the gaping plot hole of, well, where does the rest of it come from? And there's never an answer
Okay,
proffered there.
well, you also have to understand that, in the sequel series, Time Hunters, they start talking, and they actually do start, like, stepping into alternate dimensions, which is why, the big ending where they have all the protagonists of every Digimon series up to that point show up,
Yeah.
so they can all be like, "We are Kurasuhat!"
No, that's We
With
Are
everybody.
Legend Heroes. They stopped using We Are Cross Heart when Digimon Hunters started. That's We Are Legend Heroes.
But I mean, yeah, but same difference.
Same idea, yeah.
But yeah, it's literally, like, swelling, Watakoji, music, everybody's happy, giant dinosaurs firing lasers at each other.
You
It's
know
it's
that
that sort of.
that really is the best explanation for what Digimon is. It really is just swelling music and giant dinosaurs firing lasers at each other. Because you know what? That's basically that's it in a nutshell. Is Digimon are indeed digital monsters.
So,
They grow and they get lasers and missiles.
and that's honestly, I think, part of the charm of Digimon is the fact that, like, Pokemon, at least back before, like, Pokemon went absolutely nuts, I'd say about Sun and Moon.
Thereabouts.
Um, it basically tried to be like, look at this small animal. No, like, look at this small animal that's, like on fire or whatever. But Digimon just goes, nah, that's dumb. Look at the small animal and it's got like guns and knives and bazookas and
And when it evolves, it turns more human and gets more guns and knives and bazookas.
yes, Bazooka Bunnymon then becomes Bazooka
That's just
Metal.
you just described Rapidmon. That really is Bazooka Bunnymon.
Bazooka Bunnymon transforms into Bazooka Bunny Bazookamon.
I get what you're driving at, and yes, that's also true. But that also kind of lends credence to the theory that it has to be the human internet. Like the most the if you want the biggest source of information, the internet, like what is it mostly? It's about people. It's about people, about humans. So like as they digivolve, they become more humanoid. Weirdly enough, the aggressively mediocre bonds, like what was it? It was Last Kizuna Evolution or something, uh, came up with this new stupid form. Like, oh my god, I hated that movie so much. Uh, Greymon, War Greymon, and Metal Garurumon got the Crest of Courage and the Crest of Friendship evolutions, which just turned them into deviant art anthro OCs. And I'm just like, yeah, they're becoming more human because the thing they would absorb the most data about would be people. Like the internet as a whole is about people and our relationship with the world around us. So yeah, there'd be Digimon who are rabbits, there are turtles, there's birds, and all sorts of crazy other stuff. And like that's why you have like there's God Digimon because there's information on religion and like theology on the internet. You have there's machines. There's information about machines. There's like myths. So you have Phoenixmon and all the different Dramons. Dramon, not Draymon. I'm still salty about that. Like, it makes sense the Digimon have this wide variety of themes and motifs, and even the name. The name the Digimon have is reflective of their nature. Gabumon is the biting monster. Gabu being a Japanese onomatopoeia for biting. So it's like he's a biting monster. So his name is Gabumon.
Can we also talk about the lizard Digimon supremacy that's going on? Because, like, literally every single little rookie is just a little, like, dinosaur lizard thing. Even
Like
Gabumon, which is
Gabu, yeah,
supposed to
because he's a
be,
proto lizard, right? Right.
Yeah, go, wait a second, Itaku, but he has fur. That's not actually his fur. That's literally just a cast-off Garurumon pelt that he just got and he wears.
Yep. He wears it because he's supposed to be some kind of weird proto mammal. He just stole a Garurumon fur, and he's actually a little lizard like Agumon under there. Like the joke is, you never see what's under the fur, but like it is indeed in the reptile family. Look it up.
Yeah, there's one bit in Adventure 01 where I want to say he loses it for a little bit, but yeah, it's like the one
Yeah, he,
episode.
he takes it off because he's trying to keep Matt warm at night, and he takes his fur off, and he makes a comment about he's glad no one's around to see it, and all you see is like the very end of his claws. You don't actually ever see what he looks like. And you know, there's definitely draconic supremacy in Digimon because, like, even in the original manga, it was the Vmon line going into Vidramon, and then in '01 it was Agumon. So like, it's definitely dragons and dinosaurs. Everything is definitely very dino centric in Digimon.
Which is understandable because dinosaurs are awesome.
Oh no, they are. I'm not arguing that point.
I saw a thing where it's like when I was a little boy, what I thought about, and it's literally just like dinosaurs, dragons, and like
I think it was
jet
tanks or
planes.
something, like tanks and
Yeah,
jet planes. Yeah,
yeah, and it's like what I like as a man. And it's like literally, sexy dinosaurs, sexy dragons, and tanks and jet planes.
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much Digimon right there. That
That
is pretty much Digimon.
You know, I think that is Digimon's core appeal. Is like there's that childish power fantasy. Because like imagine like, I'm gonna do the reverse of all those like edgy theory pastas on the internet. It's like Ed and Eddie, everyone is dead. No, this is the opposite of that. You know what it is? Digimon. Each series is just a bunch of kids on a playground, and they're playing pretend with their imaginary monster friends. And they're like, you know what? My cool imaginary dinosaur has like a missile launcher in his chest. And like, you know what? My cool dinosaur can like shoot lasers out of his eyes. It's like that is what Digimon actually is.
And Tamers is the one where, the small child starts beating another small child with a rock. Although, Jerry! Jerry!
Digimon Tamers is the playground at the school with the really deeply troubled history, and like every student has already had to deal with very immense personal trauma. Can we talk about this for an instant? Because like, '01 does a little bit of this. '01 gets into a couple moments that are a little more serious. Like, I remember there was this one episode during the Myotismon arc where Izzy overhears who turns out to be his adoptive parents saying like, "Oh, Izzy is smart. He's getting older. We're gonna have to come up. We're gonna have to like address this elephant in the room that." We adopted him, that we're not his biological parents. We have to discuss this. And it's treated in a very mature fashion. Now, mind you, there are also episodes where Sukamon shows up and just throws poop at them, and that's literally the one joke. Like, Digimon has explored more mature storytelling. Even '02 like tried to do this to some extent and just failed miserably because '02 was '02. Yeah, and Tamers. what what happens when you get a bunch of writers who are experienced at writing really, really dark stories to write the next installment in your kid-friendly shonen action series? You get Digimon Tamers. That's what.
It's Wagnerian. It's Wagnerian anime.
It is. It is very, very much so. Like the thing, like okay, watching Tamers, I was like in early middle school. I don't think I'd even met Cog yet. And I remember watching, and there's the bit where they're in the digital world, and Beelzemon just kills Leomon and uploads his data. And I'm just like, oh, this is the bit where the main character gets mad. This is going to be like when Tai flew off the handle and they summoned Skull Greymon. It was like at a glance, Skull Greymon's kind of intimidating, but like he's just a big skeleton with a missile on his back. So it's like, okay, like if he came at me in a dark alleyway, yeah, I'd be scared. But like, I respect it, but I don't fear it. Takato goes nuts, shatters his Digivice, and Guillemon turns into Megidramon, whose mere existence threatens to collapse the digital world in around him because he's literally the manifestation of the digital hazard. And I'm like, that's existentially terrifying.
As an aside, when you actually get Megidramon and Digimon World Dawn and Dusk, it's hilarious to me because compared to even other megas, he is gigantic.
Yes, he
And he
is.
has this really evil aura around him, and so you have they'll be like, oh, Metal Etamon, War Growlmon, and then there's just Megidramon who's like, whoa. It's like, holy crap, man.
It's like,
holy crap.
That's scary. Because it's like the whole thing that like the entire organization of Hypnos and Tamers is like afraid of the damage that Digimon can do. So like they're really against the kids being friends with the Digimon. And this kind of comes like this justifies it. Like Hypnos was right. Digimon are scary. Megidramon is literally one of the 4 great dragon gods of Digimon. And like him just being nearby threatens your continued existence. Like that's scary. That is like borderline Lovecraft mythos scary stuff. Now he doesn't stay in the form but for like an episode or two. But it's like holy crap, Digimon do have that kind of power.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think he could rock Cthulhumon's snot, just because I want to say Cthulhumon is an ultimate level.
Yeah, it's, I forgot what his name is, but yeah, I know who you're talking about. And yeah, Megidramon would just like wipe the floor with him.
Yeah, and because, I mean, even still, like, Megidramon is pretty high level even amongst Ultras.
Yeah.
Or Megas. Sorry, not
yeah, technically not an Ultra, but he's one of the 4 great dragon gods, and in and of itself, that's terrifying. And like then it goes on, and it goes on to the D Reaper arc, and that that arc kind of scarred Little Snek. I'll be honest, because in reality, it's like 3 or 4 episodes where Jerry is trapped inside of the D Reaper. And if you're going, well, who's Jerry? Well, Jerry is a small, like, elementary or middle school aged girl who's mentally traumatized due to abuse and neglect in a really broken household. And she's basically just emotionally shut down due to the death of Leomon. And that's the kind of series we're talking about here. And
you also have to understand, I think it's important to note that up until this point, basically, she is effectively like the Osaka of the group. She is this weird, extremely cheerful space cadet. She's got this huge puppy crush on the main character, Takato. And so, like, he is this gigantic nerd who is completely, like, oblivious to this because he's, like, 10 years old.
Right.
And so, he's like, I love Digimon. And she's like, oh, the boy I like loves Digimon. Well, I love Digimon too. And so she sees, the next Digimon she sees is literally
Leomon.
and in traditional girl fashion, I'm just going to say it, call a spade a spade. She goes, Kitty.
Kitty.
And, just like, Kitty, you're my Digimon. He's like, what?
No. Yes, lion-headed lion man Kenshiro is my Digimon now.
But just by sheer force of bloody-minded, persistence on the fact that she wants to be just like Takato, she actually formed a bond with Leomon, and the two of them actually, kind of become really close and really cute. And it's a darn shame that the Leomon curse kicks in and he gets completely rocked by Beelzemon. But, to be perfectly honest, the fact that Impmon had basically been bullied the entire series up to that point, I honestly don't really... I'm like, Impmon deserves one win, and he's about to get his...
He got a lot of wins, actually, when he became Beelzemon. Let's talk about like the one thing that Digimon Frontier actually did right, and that's the 7 Demon Lord Digimon. And these are cool designs. They look cool. They have a cool motif. They are super, super thematically inclined. Great, excellent, A plus stuff. And only Digimon could pull it off. Beelzemon is the demon lord
Do
who
you really?
represents gluttony.
Well, do you really think that Pokemon would ever start talking
Oh,
about, hey guys, do you ever think about, the deeper morality rather than being, hey guys, here's a dragon that controls weak nuclear force. Isn't that great?
you
And then,
know, they kind
and
of
then,
do in Gen 4. Like,
and then,
Cyrus's whole
well,
thing was about he wanted to like use time and space to make himself the new god of the universe, but they had to basically completely cut that out of the English script.
but my entire point was being that,
Yeah.
like,
There would not be
here's this,
7 demon Pokemon. That just would not be a thing.
yeah, it wouldn't be the seven demon Pokemon, and then Matt Pat would not be like, well, guys, if you refer to, the Infernal Dictionary, which is a, Flemish magical codex from the 16th century that refers to, Belphegor, who is actually one of the seven demon princes, and blah, blah, blah. And, according to this, and it's like, you do realize that, first off, that's a magical codex. It's not a Pokédex. It's supposed to be, okay, so, you're a Renaissance noble. If you want to get ahead, here's some secret knowledge in order to entreat some mystic being for aid. It's not, gotta catch 'em all, Demon Mon.
That's
Oh boy.
We're not playing Shin Megami Tensei.
Yes.
Yeah. No, Pokemon would not have the brass to do that. Now, Digimon, on the other hand, does. And our boy Beelzemon here is a demon lord of gluttony. And you're going, golly, Snek, that sure is a skinny dude to be holding that title. Well, remember, these sins are more conceptual than they are literal. Like, he was gluttonous in the sense of constantly wanting more for himself.
You also have to understand that basically up to this point, the Digimon who becomes Beelzemon basically had been the butt of pretty much every joke. He can't win any fights. He doesn't have any Digidestin, so he can't even evolve. He can't even use any tools. Well, it actually turns out he does have Digidestins, but he ran away from them because he hates them.
Because
But
they were very, very annoying toddlers, yes.
so basically the entire thing is that, as you know, the Queen song goes, he wanted it all. He wanted the entire world because basically he felt he was owed. That's the reason why he is the demon god of gluttony.
So he gets this offer from a very shady suspect going, do you want to be strong? And he's like, more than anything in the universe. And he's like, then go and do as you will. That's a Berserk reference.
As I recall, it was the tiger
Yeah,
Deva
basically
who,
Byakko. Or
yeah, no, it wasn't Byakko. It was
oh,
one of,
I know who you're talking about, and I can't pull his name out of my hat right now.
yeah, because basically he was the leader of the Devas who were
Yeah,
operating on Earth because Suzaku literally is like, freaking humans, can't stand them. And he's like, sir, we need a plan in order to destroy the humans. Freaking humans! It's like, all right, I'll think of something. I know, this Impmon boy. He's not doing anything. Hey, Impmon, you want some power? You want to beat up those people that made fun of you all this time? Oh boy, do I! Okay, you're going to have to stop with that Brooklyn accent. I don't know what you're talking about, bub.
all right, I'll ignore that if you go raise some cane right now.
Can do there, good buddy. Oh,
And
stop talking.
just stop talking and start shooting. And he does! Oh my god, he does. Beelzemon just starts tearing stuff apart. And the dude has this moment where he's like, am I the bad guy? Oh wait, I'm not doing the Brooklyn. Am I the bad guy there, Yug? So he has this moment, and Megidramon nearly destroys him on the spot. And yeah, these events coincide. Turns out the series has an excellent through line. Media literacy alert. No, I'm sorry. I'll never do that again. So he gets knocked back down to Impmon. And he's like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't just be accepting Faustian bargains from people I don't know I can trust. So he goes on and they return back to Earth. And this thing called the D Reaper shows up. The D Reaper was a very simple program, a check and balance to Digimon growing out of control. Because the Digimon had the power to grow bigger, and they can destroy other Digimon, imbibe their data, and become stronger still. So this leads to a hypothetical wherein they have the potential to just grow wildly out of control in perpetuity. So they create the D Reaper, and it's like, yeah, it deletes Digimon. Problem solved. Well, turns out the D Reaper came with them. And it also turns out that it can't tell the difference between the real world and the digital world. It's all the same to it. And it also realized that, golly, deleting these Digimon releases all this extra data that's just going to waste. I better eat that. Just in case I need it for later. And transforms into this giant mountain of an entity. And it also is like, you know what? I need a way to talk to these annoying people, like those little bugs down there that live on this planet. I need a way to communicate with them more effectively. I better find an intermedium so that I can talk to them about it. He grabs Jerry. I say he, it's an it. The D Reaper is definitely outside of those parallels because it literally jacks Jerry's mind to try to make sense of all the weird little bugs living on Earth. And it literally cannot put its head around that notion. Humans are emotional, they're impulsive, they're not really particularly organized. They have these weird things called family units, and it's
Oh,
weird, it's alien.
and it's at this point that you realize that Jerry basically, her being like extremely cheerful and being like very, very chipper was basically a coping mechanism for the fact that it's highly implied even in the American localization that her father was a drunk and beat her like
Yep.
pretty mercilessly.
They didn't really try to hide it. Like the dub all but says what happened. So it's like, oh, that's heartbreaking. And now she's like emotionally dead inside because the pain of dealing with the loss of Leomon was too much for her. So she just accepts the D Reaper in and like this weird, like demonic possession kind of relationship. And the D Reaper like makes a copy of her face into this mountain-sized body it built for itself and is using her voice to relay its thoughts to people. And Takato has this freak out moment where he just starts screaming like stop using her voice. And I'm like, that kind of like gave me nightmares as a kid because I'm just like, oh my god, that's terrifying. This is
Okay,
this is not like O1 or O2.
you'll want to know what's funny actually.
What's that?
Little Ditaku was not really allowed to watch Pokemon.
Right.
My parents were kind of one of those parents. But you
Right.
know what the funny thing was?
What's that?
You know that first run of Digimon Tamers?
Yeah.
I was allowed to watch that.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
So I saw it. It didn't mess me up the way it did you, apparently, but I'm like, even still, even little Titaku saw, the Megidramon versus Beelzemon fight, and I'm like, whoa, that's, bear in mind, I was watching a lot of Dragon Ball up to this point, so, like the entire, like, screaming power-up, I'm like, okay, but, Goku doesn't become, like, Super Demon Man Goku. He doesn't become Super Goku Devil Man Black,
Right.
Yeah, so, yeah, that was pretty intense. But, yeah, I think Tamers is excellent, and I only saw a little bit of Frontier. I'm gonna be that guy right here. I didn't like Frontier, and the entire reason why I didn't like Frontier was I saw the hero Pokemon Digimon. I saw the hero Pokemon, and I didn't like the way the hero Digimon looked, and so I'm like, this is dumb.
You
So
were
I'm
not
not gonna
wrong.
watch it.
I I mentioned it in an older video several years ago where I was like, Digimon has like the same issue that Windows iterations have, where every other version sucks. It's like O1, good. O2 sucks. Tamers, fantastic. Frontier, awful. Data Squad, really good. Up until Cross Wars. Cross Wars was actually good, though. Honestly, Cross Wars was
I was
also
about to
really
say,
polarizing.
how are you gonna handle that? Because Cross Wars comes right after
Polarizing.
Data.
Polarizing is the word I'd use. Because some people loved it, like us, and some people really, really hated it. And there was also like this big to do. There was a big licensing issue. After Tamers, Saban Entertainment sold the rights to Disney. So Frontier and Data Squad are Disney dubs. So then Disney sold the rights back for Power Rangers, Digimon, and a few other licenses back to Saban Entertainment. So when they localized Cross Wars as Fusion, which is a very confusing title because that's not really what Cross is, uh, it was back to Saban dubbing. And like all the good and bad things that accompanies. So it was kind of hard to keep up as a Digimon fan. So as a result, Cross Wars was the first one I watched subtitled rather than dubbed. So that was interesting. Uh, and the thing that ends up happening is actually, I need to rewind a tiny bit to tell a fun side story. Frontier sucked so hard that even though I tried to like it, I fell off and I was like, okay, maybe I've just outgrown Digimon. Maybe I just don't care anymore. Maybe it's time for me to move on to bigger, better things like Monster Rancher. And to some extent, that was true. So then there's one day where Cog and I go into our local GameStop and we're looking at PS2 games. And I'm just like, what do we got today? And then I see Digimon Data Squad for the PS2. And I'm like, Cog, have a look at this. And he and I both stopped to look at it, and it's pretty cheap. I think I got it for like less than $20. I was like, you know what? I have not done anything Digimon related in a long, long time. Let's give this game a shot. So basically, over the course of a weekend at Cog's house, we play through like the entire game. We know nothing about Data Squad. We hadn't seen that the series was even out yet up to this point, and we beat the game, and we're like, that was pretty good. Mechanically, the game is okay-ish. It's not amazing. It's by no means as good as like Cyber Sleuth or Hacker's Memory, but it wasn't terrible either. So like we had fun, and so then Cog and I look it up and we watch Data Squad and we're like, holy crap, Digimon's good again. We actually need to watch this. And it was good. It was really, really good. It was like, basically, they're like, let's take some elements, let's take the theming of '01 and then retool it to a simpler but more poignant and focused story, which is exactly what Digimon needed. Which is why Data Squad was great, including Karada, who literally goes to the logical conclusion of basically every human Digimon villain up to that point, going, Digimon are programs. Humans can write programs. Therefore, I can make my own Digimon. I can make my own Digimon army. And he does.
I think it's not just that though. He actually, as the series progresses, he kind of has he basically has the combination of the passion of the furry, the furry artist combined with the spite of, a man-child on the internet.
I wouldn't have thought to word it that way, but you're definitely onto something there.
I mean, but at the same time, though, you also have to understand that basically he was part of the original expedition to the digital world. And, I mean, not to spoil things too much for Data Squad, but it goes bad. The first expedition goes bad. They start losing people almost immediately. And even DATs later on, there's always those like noodle incidents in fiction.
Yep.
That, everyone just kind of like looks at each other and they're like, it's just like the noodle incident. And everybody just goes, they all look at each other because they all know that, what that means. But the first interactions in that expedition are basically like that. And pretty much every adult that was part of that is a total BAMF because they survived what was basically a giant CF.
Yep. So actually, like, Karada's motivations actually make sense in light of this.
Yeah. I mean, him getting possessed by Daimon doesn't really make sense, but shrug.
details.
I mean, we got the burst modes out of it, so,
Yeah, no, that's
shrug.
kind of a win in its own way. And yeah, so like Digimon definitely knew how to play to its strengths. And Cross Wars tried something different, and some would say it wasn't good, and I would argue that they are. I would respectfully disagree because I thought Cross Wars was pretty great, and Hunters was a really nice way to wrap up the franchise as we understood it up to this point, which kind of leads us into what I would call the modern day of Digimon.
I would argue that Cross Wars basically is an interesting creature because it's very clear if you look at like the initial like first 5 episodes or so. It's very clear they were trying to lead into like a kingdoms esque or like a warring states period, like period drama, political intrigue and factions and infighting and that sort of thing. Except that they immediately dropped that for, whoa, guys, we gotta stop Tactimon from taking another zone's banner. And yeah, basically like pretty much all the humans ally themselves against the Dark Army, like immediately.
Yep.
And like that's not very fun. You kind of see more of that with the 7 Generals of Darkness, where they basically have to gather. They have to get the band back together. But yeah, so I'd argue that basically like the first 26 episodes is its own thing. The 7 Generals of Darkness is its own thing. They're both good.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think Time Hunters is fantastic, if only because it basically shows like how you would treat Digimon or how a Pokemon villain would be in Digimon. And it is hilarious that they basically are like, but you can't do that because they're your friends. No, they're not my friends. They're just programs to be used. And he's like, that's not how it's supposed to happen. I can count to potato. We're using friendship. What?
Tigeru takes him a little bit to grow on you, but you know what? He gets there eventually. He's
I mean,
nice.
he basically smacks the snot out of Smogon, so he's all right in my books.
That's true. That is true. And I would say like the tail end of Hunters is kind of where the modern era of Digimon largely starts. And the reason I'm saying this, and the reason we've given you guys a 40-minute preamble, is because the modern state of Digimon has had ups and mostly downs. So, in no particular order, let's start with the anime, just because we're mostly been on the anime. Then there was Applemon. And holy crap, Applemon was terrible. I was through episode 35 to 40, somewhere in that range. And I'm like, oh no, I wonder if the thinly veiled Apple parody is the bad guy. And like, the main character is this dude named Haru, who is the Charlie Brown of Digimon protagonists. And he's just like, guys, I think it would be super neat if I was main character, but I don't have a discernible personality other than moping all the time. his partner is Gachamon, and Gachamon is based off a web browser app. Because all of these, they're not Digimon, they're Appmon, and they're based off cell phone apps, which definitely will not immediately date this series and make it really awkward to revisit in 20 years. So he's the web browser. And they're like, oh, well, we don't want all those power creep problems from the older series getting in the way. So instead, we'll make a whole new version of power creep that's infinitely worse. Because they have what is essentially the rookie level that jumps straight to the ultimate level and then basically jumps straight to ultra with like no in betweens. Like Gachamon, when he digivolves, he becomes Globemon. His thing is like, my search engine is so powerful, I can literally find anything on the globe that I desire. By the way, this isn't my last form. I actually become more powerful than this beyond this form. And his best friends are a stupid like he's not a prank YouTuber. What's the word I want to use for this? Like he does stupid he's a challenge. He's like the ice bucket challenge YouTuber who just desperately couldn't let go of the fame, so he keeps doing increasingly stupid and asinine things. And his Digimon's like the music app, so it's basically Terriermon but yellow and like a keyboard motif. And then the third girl is a Japanese idol, so like that immediately gets lost in translation. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I work super hard." And I'm like, you two at least have a personality. Haru over here is still just like this fun sponge of a character, just sucks all the fun out of every scene he's in. Just, oh, like the designs are okay. I would say the Applemon themselves, like from a design standpoint, are actually kind of cool. Um, but everything else sucks. It was a slog to get through, and I didn't finish it because it wasn't fun. It felt like a big drag, and like the cell phone motif was just like this might have been topical 15 years ago, and it's not anymore. And the march of technological progress is like a big thing in Digimon, but like in and of itself, that's kind of the rub. Is like technology's already moved beyond what Applemon thinks technology is. And they keep confusing technical terms like dark web and deep web, which are not the same thing. And it was super frustrating. I didn't like it, and I have still not watched Ghost Game. I know it's been like 4 years. I haven't watched Ghost Game, and I've heard really mixed reviews where people either love Ghost Game or they hate everything about Ghost Game. And then the games. Let's talk about the video games because this is also important. Because during this time, Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory dropped, and those were basically universally lauded as some of the best Digimon games to date.
I was just gonna say, I mean, you and I both have played them,
Yep.
so
No, they're good. They're really,
either
really good.
either we are united in our masochism, or they are in fact good,
We
or both.
also played through Dawn and Dusk, so United in Masochism is not a bad banner to rally Digimon fans under.
We're just full of quotes today, aren't we?
We kind of are, aren't we? This episode's gonna be very quotable. like, and then we got Next Order. And the funniest thing is, if you read like the Steam reviews, almost every single negative review under Next Order is like, "This isn't like my Cyber Sleuth at all." It's like, no, because Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory are part of the Digimon Story series, and Digimon Next Order is part of the Digimon World series. Next Order is the sequel to the remake of the very first Digimon World game on PS1. So they made a remake on the PSP, which we didn't get, by the way, which actually opens a ton of plot holes in Next Order and Cyber Sleuth. But we did get the sequel, which was Next Order. Why? I
Yeah,
don't
because I
know.
want to say the one of the characters, the one girl that you were saying would be my wife,
Yep.
the All Force Vidramon. Yeah, she's in Redigitize,
Yep.
which is
As is
the
Mirai. Mirai also hails from Redigitized. And so, yeah, we kind of have some continuity problems because of that. Now, that said, uh, Next Order is really good. Like everyone who's played Next Order with an open mind or the understanding that it's tied closer to like the PS1 Digimon World games have had a blast with it. The people who went into it expecting another installment of the Digimon Story series were the only ones who didn't like it. But then we got Digimon Survive. And oh boy, the game was delayed, almost canceled, then delayed again, and then almost canceled, and then delayed again. Everything that could go wrong in this game's development did. There's a What Happened episode that Matt McMuscles did on Digimon Survive. And the dev team basically admitted, like, we wanted to make a visual novel, but then they demanded that there would be like gameplay. So we just like half baked an SRPG and like stuffed it in at the last minute. And I'm like, yeah, I can tell because the SRPG bits are the least fun elements of Digimon Survive. And Digimon Survive also does this one really, really obnoxious thing that games need to kind of stop doing, where your choices don't matter. In the first run, you are hard locked, where your choices don't matter until almost the very end of the game. And like, because there's a character, I forget his name because he wasn't that important, but he had a Kunemon as his partner. So he's like the first virus type you can get. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna try to work with this guy and make him like make him my friend because it's a visual novel. So you like, do you want to spend time talking to this character? Or like, what's your response if this character asks you something? And so like you're measured by like if you're brave or if you're cautious or if you worry about your friends a lot or if you apologize a lot. And the guy was kind of like the doubting Thomas, where like everyone else was like, okay, guys, we have a bad situation. We got to make the best of it. These Digimon things are apparently our friends. And like they don't actually get around to calling them Digimon to the end of the story, but whatever, who cares? This dude is kind of like the jerk of the team. And he's like, this is crazy. I can't believe you guys are being this calm. And I'm like, I get it. I understand where this guy's coming from. Because, like, the only reason I'm calm in this situation is because I have meta knowledge that I know what Digimon are. So, like, of course I'm calm. But he's freaking out. He's never seen these things before. And like, I agree with, like, everything he says because he's completely spot on. If you do that, in every run after the first run, you can save his life. But you can't in the first run of the game because that decision is made for you. And he has to die when you first play the game. Sorry, spoiler alert, but like if you haven't played Survive by now, you're like not gonna. Because no one wants to really play Survive because it's not really that good. So Survive is super polarizing. Its gameplay really isn't good, and it's kind of a low-wheeled miracle that it exists at all. The anime Ghost Game was, again, polarizing. The games have stark ups and downs, mostly downs, and now we're kind of in this awkward limbo. I think the only thing that Digimon currently has is like there was another rehash. I completely skipped over Digimon Try. Yeah, Try. As in maybe they should have tried a different idea instead of what they did.
Oof.
Because it's just, hey guys, we're going to pick up our O2 left off, which nobody asked for, but you're getting anyway. Now everyone has their megas, and now everyone has to have like this super duper character arc that's almost a rehash of what they went through in O1 in the first place. And then like Angelomon goes crazy, and then there's a new super Omnimon named after a Japanese word that doesn't really have a translation. This sucks. Try was awful. And the worst part is, it was awful because they didn't want to take any risks. It's so bog standard by O1. Like, it didn't feel like there was any soul to anything they were doing. And that's what killed it.
Honestly, this kind of leads back to the point that I immediately, when we were, throwing this around, just kind of between ourselves before we even were like, yeah, we should do this as a podcast. Basically, this was my point. Like,
yeah,
so much of Digimon now, especially in the last couple of years, is basically tied back to, well, we need to make it like adventure. And then the problem is like you actually look at the first couple series and like even going into like the Pendulums and V-Tamers and then O-Venture and then O2, it was extremely experimental.
Yep.
And yet now they feel like they're like, oh, no, we can't be experimental. And it's like, but that's when Digimon is at its best. It's when it's crazy and they're like, hold on, guys, we can't do this because there's ENIAC in the basement and there's a giant bunny with a nuclear bomb that's going to be like, I'm going to blow up ENIAC and that's going to cause the entire building to just explode. And we have to, we have to navigate this very tense situation. And they're like, nuclear bomb bunny, Mon, what do you want? I want to have a tea party. Oh dear. Okay, how do we do that? Well, you have to go gather the 7 digital tea leaves. Oh, okay. Oh, by the way, you gotta go to 7 different dungeons in order to get them. Oh, good. And you have 1 day. Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, you know what it is? This is that old Reese's peanut butter cup commercial where the two trucks hit each other. It's like, you got chocolate in my peanut butter. You got peanut butter in my chocolate. It's like, except instead of peanut butter and chocolate, it's Digimon and Shin Megami Tensei. It's like, you got, Shin Megami Tensei in my Digimon. And that's why Cyber Sleuth was actually really entertaining. Like, Digimon thrives when it's being that Wagnerian opera. when they're not afraid to gut punch the viewer, when they're not afraid to take the broken dreams of a child and make it manifest into something that an adult can understand, that's where Digimon shines. When it goes back to the Ty and Matt show, when it goes back to Try, when it goes back to Last Kizuna Evolution, you get really, really half-baked results. And then, what's the next idea they came up with? Digimon Adventure, colon. It's supposed to be a little Omnimon symbol, but they literally just use it as like a semicolon. And I'm like, this is dumb. And like, it is paced better. It's basically Adventure 01 Kai. But like with some details changed, because like Izzy and Ty are apparently like really good friends right off the bat, which didn't happen in 01 till later. So like, okay, that's kind of cool because like I like Kabuterimon, but like you're just doing the same song and dance. And then what's their great follow up to that? Well, we're gonna do Adventure 02 Kai. No one liked 02 in the first place, so why are you doing that? So here's the thing, I don't want them to do a remake of Tamers, because Tamers was already perfect. I don't want them to change it. What I want them to do is to take the lessons learned from, everything up to this point and do something new with it. You know what? Here's an idea. Do an anime adaptation of Cyber Sleuth. Why not? You have tons of fertile ground for it, and you have the backbone.
Here's a thought. If you really have to, why don't you make a, actual animated rendition of V-Tamers?
That would be incredible. The manga that literally set the rules? Yeah.
Do my boy Vmon and actually, have him not suck.
Funny,
seriously.
It's actually kind of funny you say that, because you never actually see him as a Vmon in that manga. He starts the story off as Vidramon.
Yeah, I know, but still, it's like,
yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh boy, don't you want to see, Vmon transform into, I am a slightly taller Vidramon, and I'm gold now. Aren't I cool? So, what can you do after this?
It's a dead-end evolution.
Digimon Fusion! Digimon Fusion, isn't that great? No.
Okay.
Come on.
No. Come on. Let's be fair here. DNA digivolving on its own is a cool idea. The problem was that 02 didn't really have any other ideas going for it, because Armor Evolution sucks.
Okay, I will concede Jogress is actually pretty cool,
right.
But only because it basically has been baked into the series from the very beginning. It's not 02's. It's not, Jogress's fault that it was basically jammed into 02, because they're like, Armor Digivolution is actually kind of lame now that we think about it. It's basically the crests and the charms and
the tags and crests, except that every form it makes is a dead-end evolution. Because the thing is, for some reason, when you Armor Digivolve, you lose the ability to go further. There's no way for an Armor Evolution to go further. So they're all like champion-level Digimon that can never grow.
But, as Mastamon has proven to us, Jogress is it's pretty strong,
I throw literal black holes at people. Is that right? Yep. Literal black holes. Yeah, the biggest thing that I think Digimon needs to come to terms with as a franchise is the simple fact that the people who are fans of Digimon, for whatever reason, whether they had a VPET, whether they had the video games, whether they read the manga, whether they watched the anime, all got in a time period where the series was trying new things and attempting to expand beyond its initial horizons. And now, those self-same fans are seeing a franchise that is afraid to do the thing that they liked when the franchise did it. I could have phrased that so much better, but you get what I mean. The
Well,
series has lost its creative spark in many ways.
I think it's stumbled, but I mean, this is not the first time that it's stumbled, and I mean, there is still good Digimon stuff being made.
No,
Uh,
definitely.
but I mean, this is not Pokemon where you can very clearly, see Game Freak just kind of, going, I don't know what to do. I mean, we had all these cool ideas, but I guess we're just going to have to release half of the game as DLC because, I mean, that's what the kiddies want now. And it's like, no, they don't.
No one wants that.
Stop it. Stop it. Get some help.
And that's the thing. If you pick up a Pokemon game, it doesn't matter if it's red or blue, it doesn't matter if it's Ruby Sapphire, it doesn't matter if it's Sun and Moon, it doesn't matter if it's whatever they're on, Scarlet Violet. Mechanically, the Pokemon games have not advanced. Like at all. The same basic concept is there. Some of the set dressing is different, but you still have a fire water starter, you still have your Elite Fours, you still have your gyms, you still have your idiotic rivals and teams and all this other nonsense. The same basic through line exists, precisely preserved in every single Pokemon game with very, very few finite exceptions. Now, let's assume you try that with Digimon. Let's say your first experience with Digimon was like Digimon World 2 on the PS1. They're going to have a very different introduction to Digimon than someone whose first introduction was Adventure 01. Digimon is all over the map. Digimon has not been consistent. And I think its biggest stumbling points are when they try to make it very consistent.
I think that's one of the coolest things about Digimon is the fact that basically any Digimon can become any other Digimon, which is confusing to newbies. But it's like, you basically it's you have to understand it might take a few jumps and sideways evolutions, but eventually any Digimon can become any other Digimon, and it's basically it growing along its path is just the way that it and their partner, their bond is, whatever that is. And I just had a terrible thought, while we're still kind of on Pokemon.
All right.
You're going on about it like Pokemon, Scarlet and Sapphire, and my brain immediately went to Pokemon Bimmy and Jimmy edition.
I would pay good money to see a Pokemon themed beat 'em up. I mean, they're one step away. They did Pokken, so like anything's possible.
Pokemon Double Dragon, Garchomps, finally had enough.
I would play that. I would unironically play that, but Game Freak doesn't have the brass tackle for it. Now, Digimon will I will say almost certainly will survive. There are a lot of diehard fans, and there are new fans joining the flock every single day. And there's people who like certain things more than certain other things. Some people like the V-Life aspect of like Next Order. Some people prefer the more story-based RPG settings in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory. Some people just like the anime because they think the designs are neat. And other people are just all over the place. You never know. Because there's so much. Like right now, there's a Japanese novel that's being printed on I believe the official Digimon Japanese website. That's a whole thing. I saw a review of that recently, and they're like, "Oh, it's okay." Is kind of the review I heard. But like, that's an interesting idea. Like, you can expand the world in so many fun and interesting ways, and Digimon definitely has the creative juices necessary to get out of the funk that it's currently in.
Bamco, I'm just saying, you can call me. I will write a story for you that may or may not involve Dragon Angel Digimon firing black holes at each other.
We can make this happen. To contact the Tomo Bros, we can help.
I'm just saying, I would not be averse to such things. In fact, I would do it. I would do it. So please hire me.
Hit
I
us.
will.
Hit us up.
I will write your adventures of coming of ages and giant galaxy dragon dinosaur angels shooting lasers at each other.
Because that's what the people want. That's why people love Digimon. Like I said, it's like a playground fight where you just make up the rules as you go. That's Digimon in a nutshell, right there.
I just still think that it makes it even funnier when I start thinking about the way that Tamers is and the way that certain fights in Data Squad go. Oh yeah, my guy is basically invincible to all your just fuck right in the kisser.
Just punch. Ah man, you thought to immunize your Digimon from everything except fist elemented damage. How did you even do that?
Yggdrasil still Marcus punched me.
Oh. While we're on that train of thought, Citramon is more interesting than Bomber Nanimon. This is one of those rare times where the censorship version is actually more entertaining than the original.
Yeah, I have to say it kind of is. And it's funny that he's like, I'm going to blow myself up and you're all going to get sticky because of orange juice. Oh, no, guys, I don't want to have to take a bath.
Not the orange juice. I already took a bath this month.
Yeah. And let me tell you, Data Squad is also good for the fact that it does show that you can use older Digimon and still have them be fresh and new.
Yep.
Because Rise and Shine, Greymon, are awesome designs.
They are.
And yet they're still very clearly related to the other Greymon design. You can very clearly go, oh, that comes from Agumon, but they're also their own thing. So, they could use Gabumon, Koromon, other older Digimon, and still have them be fresh and new.
Absolutely. See, I think that was, again, one of the strengths of the Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, because, the starting Digimon were almost all Gen 1. But they just give you that freedom to customize them however you see fit. And that is such a fun and exciting thing. Digimon has a lot of fiddly bits in terms of its overall design and world building. But I think people who take that plunge, who play the games, who watch the anime, who try to make heads or tails of lore that honestly is nonsensical and oftentimes contradictory, will have a lot of fun with it. And that's the beauty of it. That's what I think Digimon is all about.
And that's the Tomo Bros word of the day.
So leave a comment down below. Do you think you guys think we're on point? Do you think this is probably the biggest slump Digimon's had? Because I think it is, but I think they can easily bounce back from this. I don't think this is but a stumbling block on the way to something better.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, I think that it would not be that difficult. I honestly, if there was a gun to my head and, hypothetical villain was like, all right, Jitaku, yeah, you're going to either have to take it, a hold of Digimon or Pokemon, and you're going to have to make it good, encourage gear. Otherwise, I'm going to put a bullet in your brain. I'd be like, oh, phew. All right, Digimon I can do. Pokemon, all right, just go ahead and shoot me. There's nothing I can do.
You can save Pokemon, but it's basically just doing a direct sequel to Coliseum and XD.
I mean, that would be a Sisyphean task of being like, Game Freak, seriously, move beyond 1996. You can move beyond 1996. You can make the incredibly granular battle system, but you actually have to explain to it. I'm sorry, we can't explain it because that would, ruin the entire competitive aspect of this game.
Which is exactly what they did in Scarlet and Violet, ironically enough, because natures can be changed, EVs can be changed, everything can be changed now. So it's not even they're deliberately tailoring to it, but they're not outright saying they're tailoring to it, but they are.
It's all very tiresome.
It is,
as the meme goes. But anyways, yes. So I would I honestly feel like it can easily be turned around.
No, definitely it can. There's too much fertile soil in the world of Digimon to not be able to expand upon what has come before and do it in a really fun and compelling way.
I mean, obviously, I mean, where else is Soul going to hang out? I mean, he's just a tree.
He's a tree, and he likes throwing viruses at his own server because he's a jerk. Like, every time Yggdrasil shows up, he's just a huge jerk to everyone.
Well, looks like I'm going to have to go mad with power. Oh, goodness me. Is it a day ending in Y?
Huh, is it 3 o'clock already? No, leave a comment down below also. Like, would you guys want to see us do a follow-up? Maybe we can talk about a hypothetical new Digimon story if you guys want to see us plot one of those out. I think that could be fun. Dutaku already knows I have some ideas for something like that, and maybe that'll be something we can explore in a future episode. You guys let us know.
Oh, that would be fun. I already know that would be really, really fun.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so thank you for joining us on another episode of the Tomodachi Bros podcast. Subscribe if you haven't, liked if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it. That's fine. Just tell me what you think. Anyway, thank you, Master Dutaku.
I am going to evolve into my final, ultimate, ultra, super perfect version. Not here, Dutakumon, because I am going to leave the podcast because the podcast is going off.
It's over. It's over!
It's over!
And this has been the Hipster Snek, and we will see you guys in the next one.